Cek cek cek.
Wind Strider.
lagi ya misi. Ini Fountain of Lucian.
Yeah. Yeah. Time to go.
What do we do? The whole situation is so confusing.
Bentar. Yuk, mari kita lanjutkan.
Good plan. Impossible things don't just happen. We'll get to the truth one way or another.
Just relax. Even if everyone else suspects Lenny and Lynette, at least we will be supporting them from the stands.
Okay.
Besides, I doubt Farina understands any more about what happened than we do.
Thanks, Navia. Well, we'll be going then.
Best of luck to you.
Tahu nih Furina.
Ah, finally, you're back. Well, how did your investigation go?
To be honest, you might be disappointed.
No. We're already very grateful that you were willing to help.
Well now, don't you all look disappointed. Don't tell me that your investigation came up empty-handed.
So iya lu Furina.
That was to be expected, of course. The guilty can never produce proof of their innocence. But don't let that stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed should you, my most anticipated foe, concede so easily.
Since both parties are present, I declare that the trial regarding the magic show incident is now in session. Firstly, in order for the audience to understand the causes and results of the incident, could we please have Mr. Linney explain the trick?
Yes, of course. I will explain while Lynette demonstrates on stage. All the necessary items have been prepared.
Kasih tahu
Thank you,
bang.
Mr. Linney. In that case, I take your statement to be that you ran to and remained hidden within the magic box in the audience stands once the trick began, and thus could not have committed the crime. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
In that case, I call upon the prosecution. Lady Farina, do you wish to refute his statement in any way?
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide open. Mr. Linney is clearly lying. There is no way you could have been in the box the whole time if you were to abduct Halsey and murder Cowell.
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Oh, is that so? And if I may ask, what did you hear while you were inside your box?
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time and built anticipation for the finale.
And you didn't hear anything else at all? Nothing that might leave an impression of any
Tukang
kind?
fitnah nih Furina.
No, nothing.
I see. But when the count reached 30 seconds or so, there was a thud. One so loud that I
Huh?
Hey, hang on!
Yeah, I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the box.
I was right by the box and I definitely heard the thud.
Look at those scales.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to use the words of the magician himself. You never know what can happen in the blink of an eye. Indeed, it seems his alibi can also collapse in the blink of an eye. Of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and my foundations are rock solid. Tell me, aren't you and Lynette actually from the House of the Hearth?
The House of the Hearth?
No wonder they did something like this.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatui's doing. Now it all makes sense.
I've got a feeling that what happened on stage probably wasn't just an accident.
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do with what happened.
Indeed. Then perhaps you could tell us everything that happened during that 1 minute. Your first priority is to prove yourself innocent after all. I'm sure there is little that needs to be kept secret now. Unless your script already has holes in it. The Outlander is speechless. My, oh my, don't they look flabbergasted?
Sombong banget nih Furina.
Now comes the infight. Good thing I made all those preparations. Seems the all-nighter I pulled last night is
Hey, Linny, why didn't you tell us this before?
Order! Order! Mr. Linney, allow me to re-establish the facts. Lady Furina has raised 2 points. First, when the thud was heard in the Opera House, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Second, you and Ms. Lynette are both members of the House of the Hearth. Are these claims true? Please answer my question, Mr. Linney.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, Your Honor.
I knew it!
Well, that's it. We might as well move on to the sentencing already.
What should we do now?
Granted. In that case, what is your request?
Is that really necessary? They're already as good as guilty.
The defendant deceived their own attorneys. What is there left to discuss?
Ini apa nih?
Order! Order, I say! Your request is reasonable, and we shall adjourn. This trial will
So you would stick to Mr. Linney's defense even after knowing what you do now? You certainly. In that case, my dear audience, let's allow the joy of victory to steep for a little while longer.
Well, this is awkward. I didn't think the Hydro Archon would dig all that up. I'm sorry, Traveler and Paimon.
Yeah, sorry.
Paimon doesn't know where to start. We trusted you two. We based our entire reasoning on the assumption that you weren't bad guys. Not to set the wrong tone or anything, but Paimon's really mad!
I'm very sorry. I know you've clashed with the Fatui several times before, but our organization is very, very large, and the Harbingers have very different
Right now, we want to save people. As many as we can.
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same page when it comes to this nation and the disaster that its people might face. I knew if it weren't for our respective identities, we could become good friends. That's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you, but chose to hide some details instead. The truth is very important, but being completely transparent about everything would see us spending more effort than we need to. Right. So, you be the judge. Heck, if I were you, I fear that I'd even struggle to trust me at this point. You met a Fatus who works as a magician, a trickster by trade. All by coincidence, too. But still, I'm asking you to trust me. I am no criminal. At least, not in this case.
Sorry. Please forgive us.
Well, you both say that, but... Right, let's hear your answer first, and no lies now!
No lies. Okay.
Of course. I'll answer any question you ask. We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has a consciousness. Why can it deliver sentences accurately? During our investigations, we learned that the machine's core is beneath it. From that moment on, Lynette and I have been designing this box swap trick, with the objective of getting close to the...
Is that why you needed
Halo,
a whole
Michael.
minute?
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 60. So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the vent, and went to investigate the room in which the core...
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute this step.
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room and was about to investigate, I heard someone's voice. Which should have been impossible, of course. I was quite certain that I was the only one in the room. That voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. I chose to err on the side of caution and retreated on the way back. I saw the broken vase and the clothes on the ground, but the countdown was almost finished, so there wasn't time to give it any thought. After that, the homicide occurred just as you saw.
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course. We must know all we can about this nation's secrets in order to deal with that prophesized crisis.
That's the only way we can save everyone.
So, there you have it. The whole truth. I swear, I didn't hide anything from you this time. It was never my wish to proceed under this cloud of mistrust either. But like I said earlier, you can be the judge. If you want to leave because you don't trust the Fatui, there's nothing I can do to stop you.
Well, Traveler, you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
Ya udah, kita ikutin aja dah.
Okay,
Thanks for giving us a chance.
The current problem is that the scales are tipped pretty badly against you two. If we want to refute the Hydro Archon's accusations, we're gonna need a seriously watertight defense. Huh? Oh, Paimon thinks she gets what you mean.
Continue taking part in the trial. Okay.
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial. When last we left off, Mr. Linney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue stating her reconstruction.
That took long enough. Now then, if everyone would lend me their attention. At this stage, let's revisit that scene from Linney's perspective. As the countdown began, he entered the tunnel. When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey, which caused the loud thud. He did not realize that the sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed earlier that he could not hear the sound. Finally, he used the vase to knock her out, before making her change clothes to prevent others from recognizing her. At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise, and caught Linney red-handed. So Linney proceeded to knock him out too before stuffing him into that box. Afterward, Linney passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the audience stands, before operating the devices such that... And there you have it. That's the truth behind what happened.
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina's description of
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events. What Linney...
Kok jadi deg-degan guys ya? Oke. Next. Within the chamber, that house.
Seems this won't produce a particularly effective rebuttal.
Apa ya? Serious voice.
According to Linny, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He couldn't have had that altercation with Halsey.
Gue coba aja guys ya. Bingung nih. Kok nggak mau sih?
Linny went to the room that contains the Oratrice's core. This is the actual truth. Linny did not take part in the underground altercation. He only witnessed traces of the aftermath.
Attention! Ace Detective Paimon has something to say! When the
Okay, Paimon.
countdown started, Linny did indeed go into the tunnel. But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where the underground core of the Oratrice is stored. Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty. The crime scene had already developed by the. Finally, he reached.
Yay.
Paimon did it! Paimon actually managed to say all that!
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing of the incident?
That's right!
My reasoning?
Ayo lo, apa lo?
If
Furina,
that's
Furina.
the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill? Assuming that what you say is true, Linny only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What would the point of killing someone on stage be?
Kasih tahu
They have a
Paimon.
point.
That's right, you tell them! And that's why they're partners of mine. They've managed to turn things around.
Oh, well, your denial is very strident. I'll give you that. But what proof do you have to back your claims? Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole time, how could he have not heard that sound? Why do you ask? You're saying that he wasn't?
Ngapain nih?
Are you sure we don't need to give this more thought? Paimon thinks there's something off here.
Oke, salah. Yang mana ya? Ini.
That's right! Lenny wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear anything strange during the performance. This means that when the crime happened, Lenny had already entered the basement via the vent.
Vaya,
The
ada vent.
same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like that?
Well played.
To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Lenny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
Ini wicked banget ya ceritanya. How did the culprit take the accident? Sorry, the other member of the group.
The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper.
Wih, benar guys.
Huh?
Jenis
That
banget
can't be
gue.
right. Are you serious? The killer was, in fact, Cowell, the deceased!
Oh, is that so? How interesting! Let's hear your reasoning then.
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator to victim. No one entered or left the Opera House through its entrances. So where would the criminal have wanted to take Halsey?
How can we envision?
Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Lenny as well. The sound we heard may have come from a The deceased's name is
Oh, gue salah pokoknya gitu ya.
Halsey's clothing was in the
Satu salah.
No one entered or left the It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Lenny. No one entered or left the Opera House. It would have been tough for both.
Loh.
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble figuring things out?
I see how it is. So this was all just a bluff. And here I thought you had something to show for it. But it seems you're still far from the truth.
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider a different track? Just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utterly different from the magician's initial design.
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and none of them seem very likely. And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear. You know, like you did from that water tank, Lynette.
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the crowd is growing impatient? There is no greater sin.
So iya lo Purina.
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Guys, hold on second.
Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment,
Aduh, mikir
which
lagi
gave our
guys.
criminal ample time.
Okay.
The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal.
Okay.
The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment. The vase was not broken by chance. It was used to
Wis.
Paimon gets it! It all comes together! Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a person could be transformed into water...
Oh, just a moment, please.
Salin.
I do hope you know how could a person ever be transformed into water? Must we really? Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's...
Even so, I trust the travelers. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of... Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings.
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end...
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, I believe that additional evidence may help us make more progress. Guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effects of the deceased, Cowell.
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are... water from the Primordial Sea.
The Primordial Sea?
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword, one of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that, as such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is...
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving...
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but it's just a
Huh. If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a mean... Wait just a minute. Could that mean... You two, with me, quick!
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further examination of the... Still, let us assume... Guards, please continue examining the... Mr. Linny, it appears your hypothesis is support...
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case is...
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't make sense at all. Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water...
Aduh, mikir lagi.
The
Ini
deceased's
Kowal.
name is Cowell.
What item did you produce to control the timing of the stage rush?
The water from the primordial sea should already have been prepped before Halsey entered the magic box. The rope that held the water.
What item did you produce?
The water from the primordial.
Culprit used to hide the mechanism behind the crime.
I remember there was something else within the inner layer.
Kalian salah.
Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic trick, but was instead.
It's Ace Detective Paimon's time to shine again!
Kasih tahu
In
Paimon.
the original plan, Cowl would tamper with the water tank rope and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it. Afterward, Cowl would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use to cover his...
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of the...
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I...
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal's death. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence. I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. We found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea.
What?
That can't be.
Oh, I see. Well, how wonderful. Does this not clear? My dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to present my reasoning and bring this performance to a swift close. Linny did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Having made modifications to the props beforehand, his accomplice Cowl then caused Halsey to vanish using the water from the primordial. But upon his return, in cruel avarice, Linny desired sole credit and prepared to... Ultimately, he knocked Cowl out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also became a murder weapon. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does seem that the famed Fatui is quite the cold... Am I right?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. Is this the end of the...
Oh no! Paimon, seems...
I believe this is indeed... Now then, my good...
Excuse me,
Miss, I must ask you not to
Oh, come on. Don't be hate. I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared. What in the world is she...
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope.
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals that once everyone believes the illusion. Can't magic reveal the truth to them one? And wouldn't such a trick be the most... Come on, Linny and Lynette. Give it another go. But, as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the final performance to you.
I understand.
And voila.
Sorry.
Wait, isn't that Halsey?
Masih hidup dong
So
orang dia.
the whole thing about people dissolving wasn't...
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen. I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me. And then before I knew it, she caught me. That'll teach you to underestimate. Where should I begin? What? Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt. I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Linny was the one who caught me in the act.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So you were the thief. Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then he even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. So I played along. I wasn't going to take... There was nowhere to run from. I slipped out after the...
Can a person even hide in there?
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear it. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief, but I'm no killer.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
This time, we need to tell the entire...
Ini yang jelas. Oke. Bukan. Yang mana? Kita coba semua deh.
The strange sound. The flower vase.
Nih. Oke.
Lillian was afraid that she would be recognized if she left, so she changed clothes and hid, biding her time. Just what...
And it's having been selected. Her panic only hearing the commotion.
Agak panjang ya
He did
ceritanya.
not know that mistakenly believing that the water from
Okay,
the
Paimon.
primordial sea needed time. The two broke the flower vase during
Okay.
with no way of escaping. She changed.
Oke.
She knew that she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave afterward.
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under our noses. Talk about a sneaky thief.
At this point, all the events that happened in the tunnel have now come to light.
Ah, so that's the whole story.
Bravo! Bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina, do you wish to speak against the defense's statements? Please answer the question, Lady Farina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended. As such, I request that the prosecution not leave the room before the proceedings have concluded.
What? Are you reading my mind now? No, I have no further arguments.
Wow, look at that! She's like a deflated balloon.
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, I shall once again repeat the full sequence. The actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowell, with some modifications to the selector to cover up any evidence while committing the deed. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to call. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope, and if all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lillian was not from Fontaine, and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Lillian. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box, and thus became his own final victim. Liliane, according to her own statements. As for Lyney, from this reconstruction of events, while there is much in Lyney and Liliane's conduct that should still be investigated separately, this case, at least, can be handed over. As such, Lyney and Lynette are officially declared not guilty.
Wait.
Great work, partners.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Next, I think we deserve an explanation. How did you find the water from the primordial sea in Lyney?
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know.
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in... I'm sure you know what you must do to...
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a one...
I was just following We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Lyney, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui. The higher...
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of... Therefore, you would be wise to...
Yes, our boss discovered it can also be made into a potion. We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent more off it.
What?
And now he can no longer talk.
Such ruthlessness.
An outrageous... All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
Kelar dong, capek nih.
So, we're just going back now? That's...
Traveler, Paimon! Please wait.
Lyney...
I know you may not want to speak to me right, but still. Let me thank you again for I guess. I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. As for why, that was how Father, who you might know as the Knave, approached...
The Knave?
That's right. Back when our parents to survive, I took my sister. To my surprise, before long...
So you went for...
That was how we felt at first, too. But I gradually discovered he would constantly take me to all sorts of banquets.
That doesn't seem too bad either.
After one I waited a long time after we returned home. The answer he gave me was...
Oh no. But what...
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin to adoption or foster care. I managed to all I saw was the...
So, she...
That's right. She had Father, I mean, the House of the Hearth welcomes you. For your interests, I was hesitant to trust, but she was also quick to destroy the noble who...
Oh, so that's how the two of you joined the House of...
She has gained permission...
So, she believes...
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is currently... Today's case has everyone at Hotel booked to us orphans.
So, from small...
It's all right. I just hope you can understand if you should need anything at all in the future.
Bye, Lyney!
Apakah selesai? Kita jalan.
Hey there. What was with the disappearing act you pulled right as the trial ended?
Were you looking for us?
Well, this whole thing isn't exactly over, is it? I do feel that we're getting closer to Huh? What's wrong, my dear partner?
Besides! And given that there's new evidence from the trial...
Ah, I see. Sorry. I might have...
Don't say that now.
And we were having so much fun investigating with you, too. It was like having new... Wait.
Huh? Do we really need to get that formal? Well, guess you really did treat us as partners.
Well, I just like to. Anyway, it would just be a meal, so it shouldn't take.
You don't have to twist Paimon's arm. If Boss.
Oh, wonderful. In that case, why don't we return to the court of Font?
All right then. Let's have our farewell meal.
Selesai kan? Yeay. Pengadilannya udah selesai, guys. Dan full cerita. Oke, sekian dulu untuk hari ini.